Just don't make me faces. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
All right, good morning, everyone. How are you doing? I know we're starting a little late, so we're going to go right into it. My name is Mej Sabura. I'm a director of business development with V Auto. And been just a little background. I've been in the automotive industry for over 10 years. I've done a lot of different things through e-commerce, through retail, through wholesale, international, local. Pretty much had a nice widespread experience across the automotive industry. But the most fun that I've ever had was in the wholesale side. It was really the fun part of it is being in the lanes, buying cars, dealing with cars, shipping cars out overseas, and truly try and understand what's going on. And that's why I'm really excited to bring this new perspective to you guys today. So we're going to go right into it. And it's really talking about the best thing that I've done over the past 10 years is really understand wholesale buying in different paths. But I've also realized that everywhere you go and however you do it, we pretty much are creatures of habit. And we're pretty much going to do the same thing over and over again. So if you really think about when you go buy cars or the process that you do to look for cars, it's really narrowing it down into 5 steps. Now you can do these 5 steps, you can do 7, you can do 10, but for the most part you have to go through these 5 steps to get to the end result, which is buying a car or retailing the car and doing it all over again. So what we're going to do a little bit today is going to go through these 5 steps and kind of talk about some of the challenges that we've seen through those 5 steps and talk about why they're inefficient and why why I'm suggesting that we need a new way to approach the same old problem of buying cars. So the first one is the hunt. And what I mean by that is really understanding what cars you need to truly understand what you need to go buy. So you look back through different things. Some people look back at their DMS sales, say, what did we sell last week, or what did we sell last month or last year, or however it is, and these are the cars I'm going to go look for today. Or I'm going to go to the auction the next week. So I'm going to download, and I'm going to run down their run list. I'm going to print it. If I'm old school, I have it, and then my computer just fell, sorry. You're going to print the run list, take a look at it, figure out what's going on, highlight the cars that you want, maybe do a couple more research about those vehicles before you go into there. But it's a similar process. If you're smart enough or you have the time, you probably download it in Excel and try to sort it in some sort of form or format to try to get to the list that you want. You try to highlight which auctions you're going to do. If you're going to do some simulcast auctions, you're going to put them on your calendar. Hopefully you'll realize that you need to be in this auction, this lane, and so forth. But you're going to go through that process over and over again. Just like what we do in the morning. We just get up and you do the same routine. You hopefully brush your teeth, have a shower, go for a run, do whatever you need to do. Drive to work the same way, drive home the same way. We're creatures of habit for the most part. I personally park in the same spot every single day in my parking lot. And if I don't park there, I get lost. I walk up there like, oh crap, I didn't park here today. It's just natural. It's easy to do. You know, how many times have you driven home and don't even remember the drive home? Because you're just off in some different world, thinking about everything else, but you got home safely, right? And you say, oh, the car knows the way home. It's just natural. It's routine. You get comfortable in what we do. And we do the same thing when we go to prepare for the auction. So the next step is the evaluation. Now you've gotten the list. You've got some list of cars that you want and you think you want to go get. So what you're going to do is you're going to go and try to do the evaluation aspect of it. That's when you could try to look at book value. Whether you use NADA, you use MMR, whatever valuation book that you need to use to understand what's a car worth. Then you're going to try to look at pictures. You look at condition report. And hopefully you know how to read a condition report to try to decipher if this is the right car. Is it truly in that number, or is it really what they're saying it is? Whether it's a seller disclosure, it's not a seller disclosure, whatever it is, you're going to go through the process to vet out that vehicle. Similarly, you're going to look at pictures. If there are pictures available, you're going to try to go back and look at retail, hopefully see what's out there, how many cars are out there at retail, how many cars I have on my lot, do I need this car? Really going through some sort of elimination process to say, out of the lists of thousands that are available for the sale, based on what cars you need, these are maybe your target list of the 20 cars you want to go get that day at the auction. So once you have a list, you hopefully also have to write notes next to those vehicles saying, this is what I'm willing to pay for this car. This is what I think reconditioning is going to cost me for this car. Some people do that, some people don't. Some people say, I'm just going to go in and wing it and figure out who's going to be bidding at the cars, and then based on what's bidding and who's in the lanes or what's going on the screen, that's how much I'm going to pay for that vehicle. Again, it's the same process, but it's also think about the time and the consumption of energy you're putting in towards getting a list ready to go to auction. And hopefully the homework that you have to do to be able to get that target list ready to go. And you get excited and you feel confident. You spend times, you spend hours, you spend days trying to get everything figured out, and you're ready to go to auction. You are ready to log in that day and go buy some cars. So let's go to buy some cars, right? We go into the lanes, or you log in online, however you decide to do it, and then you go through the list, and you're excited, you're early in the morning, you've had your coffee, whatever you need in the morning to get you going, and you go in the lanes and you start going for these cars, or you log in online. But then the first car that comes through, you didn't get it. Somebody else maybe paid too much for it, or something happened that you didn't need it. So you go to the next one down the list, and next down the list, and so forth and so on, and hoping that the 20 cars that you really wanted, maybe you ended up with getting 2. So what do? We need 20 cars. So we're going to react and still try to go find those 20 cars. So we always hopefully we have a plan B and plan C. We have these are the top 20 cars we need. This is my backup plan for the 20 if I don't get these 20 cars, and the backup plan. And if I don't, then I'm overreacting. I'm getting anxious, I'm getting upset, I'm getting frustrated, whatever feelings you have, and then you start bidding because these are the cars you can afford. So you buy the cars that you can afford through the lane. So what happens, right? We probably bought the wrong car because we have no choice, and you're comfortable, you're creatures of habit. You've always go back to your comfortable, you know what? I sell compact SUVs, I'm just gonna buy 2 more compact SUVs. I like these vehicles, I'm always comfortable in buying these cars, and I'm gonna buy it. Or I see a car that I can afford and nobody else is bidding on it, or it's within the pay range that I think I should pay for this vehicle, so I'm gonna pay for that vehicle as well. So we're overreacting. So we bring those vehicles back. You know what, we didn't really vet out the condition report, we didn't really vet out the valuation. You know, it was 2 seconds coming through the lanes. I mean, you guys have been in auctions, right? Well, you're here, right? So you know how fast it goes. Car comes across the block, within 5 seconds, you got to make a decision, yes or no. You run up to the car, you try to scan the VIN, and hopefully you're getting information back in a timely manner. And then you try to figure out, there's so much data to evaluate that realistically, within 6 seconds of you saying, this is how much I'm going to pay for that car, this is what I'm going to do for this vehicle, and then you make a decision. And for the most part, maybe you're lucky, but on average, I would say we're not going to be as lucky. We're probably overpaid, like I said. The vehicle condition wasn't what we thought it was going to be. We brought it back, and I have 5 more vehicles on my lot, the same exact one that I couldn't even sell, and now I have a 6th one that I need to deal with. So there's some of the realities that we're dealing with when we overreact and we try to compensate for the work that we've done, because we just get tired and we get discouraged, and we want to get those vehicles. So like I mentioned, some of the misses that we just talked about, duplicate cars, we're really not focusing truly on, can we sell this car? We're not really focusing on, do I need this vehicle to sell? Do my consumers, the people that come to my lot, are looking for this vehicle? Or is it something that I have in my head because, you know what, back in 2012, I sold this same vehicle and I made $5,000 gross on this vehicle. And that's the story we remember. We remember back in 2012, that day when you sold that vehicle, but everything in between, that you bought the similar car and you lost on it, we don't remember those. We remember the high of that one car that we made $5,000 on it, and you know what, I'm going to do it again, right? Because that's what we do. We're going to go out there, we're going to kill it, every single car. But we forget the ones that we lost. We forget the ones that are underwater. We forget the ones that are just sitting there and aging on our lots that we can't do anything about. But we always revert back to say, this is our comfortable zone, this is what we're going to stick with, and this is what we're going to do. But unfortunately, what's happening on the market is that the market is changing, and it's becoming more fluid. And what we did in the past is not what we're going to be able to do today, and it's not what's going to take us forward to the next level tomorrow. Because there is a lot of external forces coming in and changing the way that we do business today as car dealers. You guys have heard it, and you're going to continue to hear it, right? The influx of vehicles coming from off-lease. These vehicles are coming back in, and the originating dealers are not able to consume these vehicles, as we all know. So these vehicles are coming back to the wholesale market. So you're having access to a lot younger, lower mileage vehicles that you probably didn't have access in the past. But there's tons of them. And if you can see from depreciation and from valuation and from values of the vehicles, they're not really dropping. So basic economics is not working here. Supply and demand, right? Increase in supply, usually prices will go down. We're seeing a decline in pricing, but it's not as much. So it's creating an even more havoc in how many vehicles we're looking for and evaluating, but we're also having a lot more competition in the lanes for the same exact vehicles. These vehicles that we probably never even had access to, but are these the vehicles truly that our consumers are looking for? Just because there's a vehicle in the lane, there's 5 of them in the lane, does that really mean that you should go buy that car? Does it really mean that, there's tons of cars, apparently somebody's buying them or somebody bought them back in the day, but those are 3 years ago. So what people bought or leased 3 years ago is not necessarily what people are leasing and buying today. And of course, the margin compression. We're not making as much gross per vehicle as we used to in the past. And that is truly a reality, right? That is truly happening based on studies that NADA published, and what's going on in the market it's truly happening. And market compression is a reality. And don't believe me, don't believe what they're saying. So these are some numbers. These are realistic numbers. I know they're small. So I've been tracking, these are the 7 publicly traded dealer groups. So this is public information. You can go on the SEC websites and pull up their 10Ks and go through their financials, and they publish these numbers. So what we've done through Cox Automotive is we've been tracking their financial profit over the past 10 years. So you can see from 2007 to 2017, how much percentage of gross have they made? And as you can see, it's been going down, and it's truly is a reality. And these are publicly traded groups. I'm saying if they're dealing with it, then I'm assuming it's going to be a trend across the industry. So the 20% compression is a reality, and it's happening every single day. And you can look in your books, and you can go probably see it as well, and saying, how much gross did I make on this car back last year, and am I making the same gross today? And in reality, you're not. There's no way. If you are, that's amazing, and you should congratulate yourself, but also challenge you to look at all the cars that you have and not just one unit. But it is truly a reality. So what does that mean for us today? What I'm saying is that we need a new way to go out there and change our habits, and we need a new way to go out there and be able to absorb these challenges that are coming at us and become truly become the disruptors that we need to be. And that's one thing that it sticks with me a long time ago is when you look at the industry around us and you look around at everything else, and these disruptors are coming out, and it's a big buzzword, right? Everybody's disrupting everybody. And you look at the Ubers, and you look at the Airbnbs, and you look at all these companies that came out and created. Why were they created? They created because they found an inefficiency in the market, and they said, you know what? I can find a better way to do things that's been done for the past 30, 50, 60 years, and I'm going to be able to change it and make it better. So that's what they're disruptors. But what I'm saying here for every single person in this room is that you are a disruptor in your own self. I would say, as an entrepreneur, for most people in this room as well, right? We've always been driven to go and do things on our own. We build business cases. We worked hard to be where we are today. And I'm saying that why would I want somebody else to come into my house and kick me out and take over what I have built? Because you know what? They're disruptors. So it's on us as people that are here to do business and continue to strive, become those disruptors ourselves, and figure out how we can change how we do things. And that's the only way we can survive. I'm not saying technology is the answer. I work for a technology company. But technology helps. And I'm saying you need help, because you can't do it on yourself, and you can't rely on technology to do it for you. There has to be some sort of a balance that you can work together to make it work for you and make you the disruptor in your own business and continue to be here for the next 20, 30, 50 years, however long you want to be in the business. So what is this new way? I'm saying it's a profit-focused perspective. It's really looking at the money. Because at the end of the day, as a car dealer or as a person in the car industry, what are we here to do? We're here to make money. No matter what, it's all about the money. Granted, we do a lot of great things in our communities. We try to build a reputation. We try to build in the community, we do the right things because people respect us, and that's the right thing to do, 100%. But at the end of the day, we're not a charity. We're not non-for-profit. We do things because we want to make money for multiple reasons, whether it's for your family, for yourself, for vacations, for schooling, for retirement, whatever it is. That's what we do. That's what makes us an entrepreneur. And there's nothing wrong with it. And if people telling you, oh, you're here to make money, of course I'm here to make money. That's why I opened a business. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. There's nothing wrong with it, so accept it. So why don't we do things when we go and buy cars, why don't we look at the money first? Does this make sense? Is there money in this vehicle before I even think about buying it? And if there's no money in it, then I'm going to move on. So what is a profit-focused perspective? So it's 3 steps. Money first. 100% money first. If there's money in this vehicle, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to go figure it out. I'm going to buy it. But in order to be able to evaluate and putting money first, you truly have to have access to every single vehicle in the wholesale market. Because we all hear as well is that the vehicles are not being shipped to auctions anymore. This whole big buzzword of upstream is everywhere. So these websites are popping up every single day where these OEMs and consigners are trying to find a more efficient way to sell vehicles. So shipping a car to a local auction is not efficient. It costs them money. And if the car doesn't sell, then what are they going to do with that vehicle? So what they're trying to do is they're creating other avenues to be able to get rid of these vehicles before they even come to the auction potentially. So how do you see it as a person, as a consumer, if you're not really savvy and out there and researching all these websites and keeping up with all these things? It's really exhausting and time consuming, and you really need to figure out where to get those. And that's where technology really helps you to be able to see those vehicles. And then the most important thing is maximizing time. And what I mean by that, as if you think back at the 5-step process, it is time consuming. Again, we're doing research of time and trying to figure it out. On an average dealer spends about 40 hours a week preparing for auction. So last time I thought about it, 40 hours a week is a work week, right? 9 to 5 is 40 hours. So as an entrepreneur, within those 40 hours, within that week, you still have to, recondition cars, sell vehicles, take care of the people that you work with you, do a lot of different things in addition to be able to search via vehicles as well. So it's really, really time consuming. So for me, in order to make money, I need to become more efficient in buying the vehicles so I can sell more, because that's the end of the day, that's how I make money, right? It's all about the whole cycle. So I need to find efficiency in the market. So how do we do that? So how do we put profit first? It's really, we look for vehicles not on color, not on year, make, model, not on trim. We look on by money. And how we do that is we put a virtual appraisal, just like when you do a trade-in appraisal, or you appraise a used car vehicle, you're going to do a virtual appraisal on every single vehicle available in the wholesale market. And that virtual appraisal is based on your financials. So I heard some people yesterday talking about, well, it's a different perspective. What you want to do versus what you really do are 2 different things. But then it's shame on you. If you kind of come in here and lie to yourself about how you run your business, then you're only lying to yourself. So if you come in and you're trying to do an appraisal, saying, well, I really won't spend this much money on this car, but in reality you are, then the only person you're cheating is yourself. So why would you do that? So if you apply the true numbers that make sense for your perspective, not what you want to do, what you really do, what the reality is, and you put that into a way to be able to look at how much you spend money on reconditioning, how much money you spend on transportation, how much money you spend on packing if you are packing, and then you question yourself, am I packing enough, or am I packing too much or too little? And why am I really packing these vehicles? How much money is it going to cost me to sell this vehicle? It's really looking at a total cost of ownership of saying, okay, this is how much it's going to cost me to truly acquire this vehicle. It's not just auction fees anymore. There's a whole total cost of ownership for this vehicle. And then based on that, once you figure that out, then you can come in and saying, this is how I'm going to bid on it. So it's bid focused. So I can put in floor and ceiling based on how much money I can make on this vehicle. And that's how I go in and place my bids. I don't place my bids based on book values. I don't place my bids on what I sold last month. I don't place my bids based on what MMR or NADA did, because those are based on transactions that occurred in the past. Whether it's 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, 6 months ago, for me, for today, it's a little dated. It's a point in time. I'm not saying to ignore those numbers. Those numbers are valid and they are going to give you some direction. But I'm saying that's a point in time. It's a part of the equation. It's not the entire equation. Because you have to look at how much money is truly going to cost you. Because if MMR says this, or NADA guide says that, or whatever book you use, is that really truly your business plan? Is that truly what you can afford, what you can sell it for, what you can buy it for? After looking at your total cost of ownership. And then based on that, that's how we buy. We buy based on profit. So we're really looking at saying, what's my floor and what's my ceiling? How much can I really, really spend? I don't care what the person in the lanes is bidding on. I don't care if it's my neighbor or somebody I really don't want them to buy this car, because I'm taking the emotion out and I'm looking black and white. And when you do that, it changes your perspective. You're not really tied to the vehicle. That vehicle is an asset that's going to generate a profit, and it's going to make you money. Great, we love cars, we do cars every single day, but you have to take that emotion out of it and truly think of why you're standing in those lanes or why you're logged in online, because you're trying to make money. So I'm not going to waste my money. I'm not going to give my investment into this vehicle and get a return on my investment for something that's not going to give me my money. Because you know what? I worked very hard for what I did. I want to make sure I'm going to make the profit that I want, the profit that I should be making, not when I'm just going to wing it and figure it out later when I bring the car back to my lot and try to deal with it then. So to do that, again, it goes back to saying you need to see every single vehicle that's available in the market. Like I mentioned, vehicles are popping up everywhere in a lot of places, and they're access to you as a dealer as well. So why would you not take advantage of those vehicles? Why would you not be able to say, I want to see every single vehicle available in the market? Because you know what? Consumers today, when they look for a vehicle, they don't put zip codes anymore. They look nationwide, because it doesn't matter. Because the basic of geography and the whole fallacy of saying, I'm only going to buy cars within my region, makes sense, but they're evaluating you across everybody else. And then I'm going to sort them based on potential profit. Is there $5,000 in this vehicle, $4,000, $3,000, $2,000, $1,500? But you know what? Sometimes it's okay to make $500 on this vehicle because there's a business need for that. You have a really loyal customer that wants this vehicle. You know what? You're going to make $500 on this car but you're going in there and making a conscious decision about why you're buying that vehicle on the spot and not trying to come back and react afterwards. And then the whole thing about the myth of distance. I truly saying, you know what, I'm only going to go with my local, I'm only going to buy cars within 100 miles of where I am. But I'm saying if you put it in the beginning with the total cost of ownership and you include transportation into your calculation, then it doesn't really matter if the vehicle is 5 miles away or 1,000 miles away. If there's money in this car that's out there on the East Coast, why would I not go get it? If I can make potentially $3,000 on this car profit after I bring the car back to my lot, why would I not go get this car? Why would I not? I don't want money anymore. It's $3,000 is too much. I don't want it. No, it doesn't make sense. Because transportation, there's so many truckers out there. There's so many ways to bring the vehicle in here. And if you're scared to buy a car outside of your market, because what's going to happen? There's so many other assurance products to protect you when you buy a vehicle outside of your market, to make sure that you're protecting your investment. Just like what we do with an insurance policy or whatever you do. There's always a way to be able to protect yourself to make sure that you're covered from this distance. So distance is not an option. So I'm going to look at every single car in the United States that's available for me as a dealer, and I'm going to put an appraisal on every single vehicle, and I'm going to sort them based on which cars make me money. And then I'm going to cross-reference those with what I truly need that I have missing in my inventory. So some of the metrics that we've seen so far. All right. Bear with me here. All right, I broke it. Here we go. I got this, man. I got it. So this is some of the metrics that we've seen from the dealers that have really adopted this profit-focused approach. And these are some of the metrics that have been, so we've been teaching dealers and helping dealers do this for over a year and a half now. And we have about thousands of dealers that are on this product today that are able to do this, and these are the metrics that we've seen that they have been able to do. And the number one metric is different numbers, so I'm going to walk you through these numbers real quick. So number one, you're becoming more efficient in how you're finding cars and how you're buying cars. You're becoming more efficient in finding those vehicles. So you're spending less time looking and more time buying. So the 50% is that it's like your reduction in time, and the 40% is your take home. So you're buying more cars. So the 40% is not an increase in gross, it's an increase of how many cars are you buying. So when you go to auction and you want 20, and you really want those 20, what are the chances of buying those vehicles? So if you increase your chances by 40% more by buying the right vehicle. Because number one, you know which ones you want, and number two, you know how much to pay for them. So you're really truly focused, you're zoned in on those vehicles, and you'll be able to achieve a better profit. And of course, you are making more money. On average, you're making 25% more gross per vehicle. Per unit, they're buying. By being conscious of how much money they're paying, how much money they're going to put into from recon so they come back to their shops, and your shop manager, whoever says, no, I need to put this much money into it, and you say, nope, I only have allocated $500, $1,000, make it happen. It's going to be retail ready for 1,000. And then you can make that conscious decision of why you put that. Because if you're going to pay $1,200 and you only allocated 1,000, then the $200 has to be made up somewhere. It's going to eat into your gross, or you're going to have to try to find efficiency in a different way to balance it off, because I'm not willing to give up $200 just like that. So, but now you're smarter about that decision, and you can truly make an educated decision and have an argument rather than say, no, I'm not going to pay $200 on principle. You can truly have an argument as far as why. And if you lose that argument, then you know how to make it up somewhere else. And it's really retailing 30% more because you're providing the right vehicles. You are selling those vehicles by being retail ready, by being conscious of what's in the market. So when you go in to buy these vehicles, you already know how much you're going to pay for it retail, or how much you're going to sell it for before you even buy it. So you're backing into the equation top down. Number one is, before you buy any car, you have to understand how much you're going to sell it for. And if you don't know how much you're going to sell that vehicle for, then maybe you shouldn't buy that car. Because if you buy the car and come back and then try to figure out what to do with it, you've lost a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of efficiency in that. So I'm going to share with you a couple of true examples of some dealers that were able to really benefit from this, and they were excited to share their story with us. So we're going to talk about two dealers. So we're going to talk about Tony, and we're going to talk about Simon. So Tony is an independent. He has about 40, 50 vehicles. He sells about 40 vehicles a month. So he's your independent dealer, but he's in Minnesota, so he's landlocked. He's going in and he's bidding against other dealers in the market. He's going to his local auction, but he knows his consumers love trucks. So he's going to the auction, but he's competing with other people that want the same exact truck, and their prices are just going skyrocketing. He's like, there's no way I can afford these cars. So he's frustrated because he's not able to be successful in serving his customer base. So by flipping around and trying to expand and the whole geographic thing, so he started looking out. From Minnesota, he started buying cars out of Nevada and Phoenix because there's tons of trucks there. And then by looking at it and saying, and then figured out a route, or logistically, he came up with a deal from a trucking company to be able to get these cars to him in an efficient way. And he put it all in, and now he's buying cars out of Nevada where nobody else cares. And he's buying them for money that's cheap enough that after he ships them to Minnesota, he's still able to sell them and make more gross. And he's not frustrated because not everybody in Minnesota is going for the same truck. So he found a better way to become more efficient, become more successful. At the end of the day, he's making more money. He's starting to make money. He started to make 5% increases in his margins because now he's buying a little smarter and he's doing it right. And there's nothing to be scared about. There's nothing wrong with buying a car outside, and he's being very, very successful. On the other side, we have Simon. So Simon works for a luxury dealership in Louisville. It's a Lexus dealership. But he's also frustrated because he's a Lexus guy. So consumers are coming in and buying Lexus. And that's all he's been pivoted on. And so he has an independent dealer down the street from him. And he sees that this independent dealer is selling more cars. And he's being very, very successful. And he's frustrated. He's like, why would that person be selling more cars than I am? And then Simon was an old school guy. He liked to do everything himself. So he would come in and he would research and look for auction vehicles himself and spend time trying to research and understand. He would come home, have dinner with his wife, put her to bed. Then he'd go pull up his computer and go through and research. But he was that guy that would go into the lanes and he'd get outbid. And he'd start scratching his head and he'd get frustrated because after all the time and energy he spent looking for these vehicles, he's not able to buy the vehicles and bring them back. So what he started doing he started adopting this new technology. And he started thinking through the logic and the math that he had and become real with himself and put it in. And what happened is he was able to truly translate his own personal needs, what I'm calling his buyer DNA, because he's the buyer, he's always bought cars. But he's been able to translate that through the help of technology. And he tweaked it enough to become more confident in it that he was finding it a little bit more redundant for him to do it. So he brought in a lot guy and he taught him how to use the tool, and he was able to start buying cars. So not only is Simon making more money, becoming more efficient in the process, he's finding more time that he trusted what he was able to do. He took his DNA of saying, I am the buyer, I'm the car guy, I know what I'm doing, and be able to train in a lot guy to do it, and the lot guy is very successful, and he's very happy. Because now he has another person that can help him, and Simon is not tied to be the one buying the vehicles. And his numbers are pretty significant as well. So, I mentioned the world is evolving, and it truly is evolving, and there's technology out there every single day. And I like to use the story of Amazon. Who has never heard of Amazon? Exactly. Who has never bought anything from Amazon? No, it's become who we are. It's become part of our lives. It's become, we accept it, and now 2-day delivery is the norm. But I'm saying technology has evolved, and we accept it to be part of who we are. But the same thing's happening with the automotive industry. The same thing's happening, and technology is evolving every single day. And there's new technology, and new apps, and new everything's coming up every single day. So it's happening around us every single day. So why would we not try to figure out which is the right piece of technology that's going to enable us to become part of us and become part of our DNA and evolve? Because it's happening every single day. I'm not saying there's going to be drones dropping cars off in your lots in the future, but I'm saying there is technology that's going to be adaptive, and it's going to be something that the used car industry is in need for, and it's going to become part of what you do and how you interact in your daily life, and it's going to be able to translate into your dealerships or your auctions or whatever you do. So it's really, really important that we try to understand which one's the right one for us and be able to use it and adopt it into us. And the most important thing is be able to find the right piece of technology that's going to take our DNA, that the piece of technology that's really going to be able to, we can get comfortable like Simon did and be able to say, you know what, I don't have to be the person clicking the button. I don't have to be the person buying those vehicles, because there's a more efficient way to do this today. And there's a more efficient way that I can become effective in buying more vehicles and selling more vehicles, and at the end of the day, making more money, because that's all that matters. And just to bring it back again, I'm saying the scales have shifted. When we used to look at the condition of the vehicle, the color of the vehicle, the make of the vehicle first, and then decide if it's the right valuation for us, I'm saying the scale has shifted, and we need to look at money first. Is there money in this car? Do the numbers make sense? Black and white. If there doesn't make sense, then I'm moving on. I'm not wasting my time. And I'm able to cycle through the influx of vehicles faster, more efficient, and I'm only looking at money, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. So a little bit more efficient in my process. So I have a little bit more time. I know we started, I think I'm supposed to be done at 9:45. So I have 5 minutes. If you guys have questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you guys need to run somewhere else, please do so. I'll be hanging out here for a little bit, and I'm happy to do that. Thank you.